Good morning, Maryland. I'm Christian Schaffer. Thanks so much for joining us for this special live discussion on the WMAR2 News Facebook page. I am joined now by a member of the Greater Baltimore Cleft, Lip, and Palate team at GBMC, Stephanie Boblooch. Thanks so much for joining us this morning.
Thank you for having me this morning.
Well, July is National Cleft and Craniofacial Awareness Month, so it's an issue that a lot of parents may have some concerns about. Love to talk to you about it because it's just not something that they might think about initially, but if they have any issues with it, it turns out there's a place they can go to get help.
That's correct, yes. Our team sees patients prenatally all the way through adulthood if someone were to have a cleft lip and or a cleft palate.
And what's the difference? Do a lot of kids wind up having both issues together, or is it typically one or the other?
It can either be both cleft lip and a cleft palate. And again, the palate is the roof of the mouth. A cleft lip would be on the upper lip. And some patients are born with just a cleft lip.
And is there any research or any new developments on why that happens as far as for some kids and how common it is and why it doesn't happen for most kids?
Yes, it is actually more common than people would think. One of the most recent stats is about 1 in 600 babies are born with either a cleft lip and or a cleft palate or an isolated cleft palate. There could be genetic factors, environmental factors, and sometimes it just happens. We have genetics on our team. Dr. Tony Klein is one of our geneticists, and Marcia Ferguson is our genetic counselor, and they also work with families in terms of the genetics piece.
And so the big picture is that I think people probably ought to understand is that there is help, and the issue can be addressed very early on and even taken care of.
Yes, so we see our team sees patients, like I said, prenatally all the way through adulthood. And just in terms of surgical treatment, a cleft lip is usually repaired around about 3 months of age, and a cleft palate is usually repaired around 12 months of age. But something with cleft is that it is a continuum of care. We are seeing our patients annually or more if needed. As kids get older, those appointments are spread out longer, but we're monitoring for growth and development, helping with feeding and speech, and any additional surgeries that might be needed down the road.
Now, Stephanie, when I found out I was doing this interview, I went on to the website at GBMC and looked at it. It's a large team that you guys have that deals with this, and it just kind of goes to show that it's not just the surgery, although that is part of it. It looks like there's a lot that goes into the treatment of these children going forward.
Yes, so we are an American Cleft and Craniofacial Association approved team. So that means we have specialists from all different areas coming together to provide care for each of our patients. So like you saw on our website, and I would encourage others to check it out, we do have facial plastic surgery, oral maxillofacial surgery, ENT, genetics, speech and feeding, social work, diet and nutrition, audiology, and the list goes on. So we are, the purpose of our team is to be one centralized location and spot, and one team communicating all together about the treatment plan for each child or adult.
Yeah. Can you talk a little bit about a newborn? Because the problem is that there's no possible way to explain that to the little 0-year-old child who's just been born with this issue, but there has to be feeding still. And I noticed that is part of what your team does there at GBMC, making sure that the child can get proper nutrition at that young age with the issue.
Yes, so when a baby is born with a cleft palate, there can sometimes be feeding difficulty. So our speech and language pathologist, Patty Caudill, is involved as early as we know about the patient. So she's assisting with feeding, making sure the child has the appropriate bottle, and we do provide those to our families, and just monitoring that growth and development in partnership with our registered dietitian.
And Stephanie, once again, just to reiterate, it sounds like you follow with these patients going well after that initial surgery. Is it all the way up into adulthood even?
Yes. Yes, and that for us is one of our favorite things about our team, is that we do follow our patients along the entire continuum of care. So we have patients that we know from birth, and we're still following at age 15, 16, and so on. And it's really fun to watch everybody.
Absolutely. And is there anything that that parents can do when they found out that this may be something that their child could be born with, or is it just a matter of getting ready and preparing for the team to be dealing with another child prenatal?
Yeah, that's a great question. So if anyone were to learn about a cleft prenatally, we do see patients prenatally for a team consultation. So they can come to our clinic and meet our team members face to face, ask their questions, just become familiar and comfortable with what our team looks like and who we are. So that is something we offer. And at times a cleft is not seen on an ultrasound, and we become involved after a baby is born.
It seems to me, and I'm just guessing here, tell me if I'm wrong, that this team is larger than it would have been in previous years and previous decades. It seems like doctors and researchers found out more about the proper ways to treat this development in young children.
Yeah, so our team is actually, we're about 16 years old. So we have been around for a while and have had the same specialties, but we have added new members as we've gone on and increased in capacity. But it is an American Cleft and Craniofacial Association approved team, does have all of the different disciplines involved in the team care.
And it's just a coordinated approach. You guys have to make sure that the child's getting whatever they need at that point in their development.
Correct. Yep. So that is why we are monitoring during annual visits.
Okay, so we have a special guest, two special guests today here on our Facebook Live discussion that we're going to bring in right now. Say hello to Charlie and Liz. Charlie and Liz are waving at us right now. Charlie's been through treatment at GBMC in the Greater Baltimore Cleft Lip and Palate team. Charlie, how you doing today?
Good. How are you?
I'm doing well. Thanks for asking. What's it like when you go over to the doctor's office and visit with them? Are they all nice and friendly to you the whole time?
Yes.
And what's it been like growing up this way, having to visit those doctors? Is it just something that you kind of deal with as you go? And do you feel like you're just a regular old 9-year-old kid?
I mean, I just feel like I'm regular. I mean, sometimes kids ask me, like, what's wrong? Like, because they see that I have a scar and they aren't familiar with it. So I just have to speak up and tell them that I was born this way.
Okay, Liz, he's amazing. I mean, come on. That is terrific. Were you a little concerned initially that this could be an issue going forward? Talk about what that must have been like as a new parent.
Yeah, sure. So my husband and I actually found out about Charlie's cleft lip and palate when we were pregnant. He's our oldest. And we do not have any family history of cleft lip and palate. So we actually were really unfamiliar with cleft lip and palate or what the rest of his life would look like being born with, a craniofacial difference. We immediately started researching, and we looked at teams from, other parts of Maryland to Philadelphia to Boston and everywhere in between. And we landed on GBMC, fortunately, immediately connected with the team. We have never looked back. It's been a journey that we are actually really proud of. Charlie's come a long way, and we've through it grown as a family and gotten to know a lot more about other children that are affected as well.
There's a comment on the page right now that says, "Hooray, Charlie, you are a rock star." I don't know if you guys can all see that one, but it'd be difficult to argue with all that. Still, Liz, there is, it has to be concerning when there's anything involving your child and anything involving an actual surgery. That must have just been very stressful to go through.
It was. It was an unusual experience for us, especially having Charlie's first surgery. He was 3 months old. So, of course, that's nerve-wracking, but we felt so supported the entire time. We were very educated about what he was going to go through. We had the opportunity to speak with our whole team, and the surgeons could talk to us about before and after experiences that other families have had. And through all of that, it's really motivated my husband and I to do the same for other families. We do a lot of individual mentoring, and Charlie, he'll talk a little bit probably in a couple minutes about his mentorship program that he envisioned during one of his recoveries.
Yeah, so Charlie, have you gotten a chance to meet other kids who were born with a facial issue?
Yes, actually, I think it was this weekend. I had a tie-dye party with a couple other kids who had cleft lip and palate. There was a couple kids who were older than me, but also a couple kids who were younger than me. So I got to learn about what's going to happen next from one of the older buddies, and I got to support what's going to happen next for the younger buddies.
Liz, are you sure he's only 9? Because he clearly talks and hangs out like a kid who's a lot older than that. My goodness.
Yeah.
Wow, he's awesome. And Charlie, how'd that make you feel being able to help some of those younger kids who are going to wind up going through some of the same things that you've gone through?
I mean, it feels really good to help them. So when I go through my next surgery, which I don't know when that's going to happen, but I know I'm going to have an older kid to let me know what's going to happen next.
Stephanie, can you still hear me on there?
Yes.
Yeah, and I just wanted to ask you, because Charlie just seems like such a great kid, and I'm just wondering if there's a little bit of emotional support that goes on with some of these kids going through it, because he just seems like, such as you see, such a great, young, well-adjusted kid.
He is. We really love being with Charlie. And all of our patients, but our team really, really cares about the emotional health of the entire family. So we do put a huge emphasis on that. So we do a lot of events, which we have not been able to do in person over the last year until this past weekend, but we try to get our patients face to face and together as much as possible to genuinely feel that support, that they're not alone, to connect with each other. So if a parent would like, especially newborns or parents anticipating their first surgery, we will connect them with another family that has already been through it, so they can form a relationship and have each other for support. And we offer referrals when needed too for more additional counseling support if needed, but we really try to connect everybody.
And Liz, maybe you could talk a little bit too about being in this community that certainly you never really asked to get into it,
Right.
but now that you're in it, it seems like it's really become a big part of your life and something that you enjoy.
No, it really has. And I think it's been a wonderful experience, honestly, for our family, for our sons, our younger 2 sons growing up, and just having that understanding that all children are different. And, whether it's something physically different or just, a different need that child may have, that we embrace that and we accept others for the way that they are. And I think it's, especially for Charlie, being a preteen boy, it's been good for him and his friends to kind of get to know that early. So they're especially welcoming of other children, and that's really important to us also.
Hey, Charlie, I hear that going through this experience and meeting all these doctors and nurses and everybody has already given you some ideas about what you may want to do when you get a little bigger.
Yeah, so ever since I got my first surgery, I knew I wanted to be a dentist. Since I went to the dentist's office, met up with the dentist, and even the whenever I go, they know that's what I want to be when I grow up.
Well, I wonder, Charlie, if you have a sense of where that's coming from. In other words, do you feel like that you might like to help other people, maybe even other kids, when you get to be an adult?
Yeah, I really would like to do that.
Wow, Liz, he's just really impressive. That's a good plan. Are you looking forward to that as well? It's going to be just neat to go up and do great things. I haven't been through all this.
I know. I promised him I'm going to run his office for him. Yeah, he has formed really strong connections with all of the doctors and the care providers on our team. As Stephanie was saying, he lights up when he gets to go visit. It's unusual to have a child who doesn't want to leave the doctor's office, but he, especially going down to the dental school and visiting Dr. Kakami, his buddy, his maxillofacial surgeon. Charlie spent a lot of time there preparing for his bone graft surgery, which happened in the summer of 2019. Which was probably our biggest endeavor that we took on, because it was the first time he really could understand what he was going through surgically. And he connected right away with the doctors and residents down there, and he just felt informed and empowered in the situation, and he just loved it there.
Stephanie, well, Liz, I might ask you this as well in a moment, but I want to ask Stephanie also, because it is an interesting topic that Liz brings up. The child is growing. The bones and the muscles in the face and everything else grow and change as they get bigger. So there could potentially be more procedures, more surgeries later in the teenage years. Is that correct?
That is correct. And it really truly is a case by case basis, but that's why our purpose is a continuum of care. And we're seeing patients every year or every 2 years to check in, see how the growth and development is looking, and see what might be needed next, if anything, so that we're on top of it.
And Liz, I don't want to get too many, the medical details about Charlie and how he's doing, but would you mind talking a little bit more about what may be coming up in his specific case? He's 9 years old right now.
Sure. Yeah, I'll actually let him tell you. But
okay.
As I said, we had our bone graft procedure, and what came next?
After my bone graft, I got phase 1 braces, and then now I'm getting off phase 1. Getting ready for my retainer and phase 2.
And tell it what's so cool about your retainer.
And my retainer is actually going to have a fake tooth in it, so that I won't have that empty spot in the retainer.
Charlie, I can tell you right now, my daughter is 13. She was not born with the palate or the lip issue, but she was born without the teeth. So she does have her retainer with little teeth on it. So she's actually got that same little thing. I think it's a flipper or a flapper, they call it. Yeah. So the key, Charlie, don't lose that. Okay?
Yeah.
Yeah. Keep an eye on where that goes. But yeah, it'll be nice to have, and it's something that she feels more comfortable wearing when you have it in. I think you're going to like what it looks like when you throw the smile up.
Yeah.
Something to look forward to.
Yeah.
Okay, so Liz, once again, just talk to people about what it's been like for you and what else you could say about that team over at GBMC.
Sure. I absolutely can't say enough good things about our team. We love being a part of the team. After Charlie's bone graft surgery, he envisioned this idea of the Buddy Connections group, which we were talking a little bit about earlier, and we were just so excited to get that up and running. It's for children 4 and up who are going through the cleft lip and palate continuum of care. And we want to provide support to those families and children and help them to forge those relationships and engage in social situations with each other and really learn and grow that way.
Stephanie, before we go, can you just let the viewers know how they can get in contact with you over at GBMC?
Yes, of course. So our website is gbmc.org/Cleft, and my contact information is right on that website. And you can call us direct to self-refer as well if you are interested in scheduling an appointment with us.
Okay, and we're going to let you guys go here because we know Charlie's got a lot to take care of today in his 9-year-old day. But Charlie, anything else you can say to the folks out there before we let you go?
No, not really.
Thank you so much for having us this morning.
He's just terrific. Liz, thanks so much for doing this. Charlie, once again, best luck going forward. Let us know how everything's going. And Stephanie Boblooch as well from GBMC, thanks so much for doing this.
Thank you for having me.
No problem at all. Great talking to you guys. Once again, the information is up on our website as well, WMAR2news.com. Thanks for joining us for this special Facebook Live discussion this morning. Good morning, Maryland.